Thanks for tuning in to another segment of the Urban Scope podcast. Um, got another good topic for you today. It's mostly out of the rumor mill, but it was regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers long-term tenured head coach Mike Tomlin. So there were rumors that came out recently, or reports came out that he wasn't hired for the Miami Dolphins job because he was too hip hop at the time, or he was too hip hop. Um, and I found it very interesting because he was pretty young when he first started um, looking for head coaching jobs. I believe when he was hired with the Steelers, he was around 35 years old. He had bounced around from other teams. He got hired with the Steelers back in '07, but he was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings in 2006 and the defensive back coach for the Bucks from '01 to 2005. So he was a part of that great uh, defense that the Buccaneers had back in '03, which is considered one of the top 3 or 4 defenses of all time. Some people say it's the best defense of all time, but that's for another day. But basically, you know, when minority coaches get these jobs or go out for these jobs, they're usually bound to the owners, which are typically, white men, powerful white men at that. So when you get these jobs, they want you to be buttoned up. They want you to be, um, the stereotypical, you know, they don't want you to have tattoos and all these things. And Cam Newton kind of talked about this, or was reports that Cam Newton, when he was just trying to he was going through the interview process for the NFL Combine. He was asked by the owner at the time of the the Carolina Panthers. He was asked, "Do you have any tattoos? Do you have any piercings?" And reportedly, Cam Newton said no. And the owner said, "Keep it that way." And they ended up drafting him #1 overall that year. But it just shows you the process. Des Bryant had a similar story. People said that, the Cowboys asked him if his mother was a prostitute. And, like a lot of these stories go under the rug because, like I said, the minority is reporting these stories, or it's always a report, but nothing is actually investigated or substantiated. In Mike Tomlin's case, he's one of the longest tenured, if not the longest tenured, I believe, right now, coach in the NFL ever since Belichick left the New England Patriots. So when you think about it, one of the most successful coaches in the league is a minority. Granted, he hasn't won a championship or went far in the playoffs recently, but he's made the playoffs more often than not. His team, he's never really had a losing season. And all these things, kind of show that, the minority coaches can be successful as well. And it's kind of ironic that he was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Pittsburgh Steelers are responsible for the Rooney Rule. Now, the Rooney family owns the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's well known that they're very geared towards minority, towards their rights and towards the advancement of colored people and minorities. And Mike Tomlin gets his first job head coaching job with the Steelers, getting an opportunity, and he's made the most of that opportunity. So the Rooney's made the Rooney Rule, and I'll give you a little background on the Rooney Rule. So the Rooney Rule was implemented in 2003, or created in 2003, after Dan Rooney, which is the father who's passed away now. So it's essentially, the Rooney Rule was an affirmative action for the NFL. So they wanted to give minorities, coaches and staff members and specialized coaches and stuff like that, the same opportunities as their white counterparts. But, the Rooney Rule, like I said, they did a study and they found out, Indiana University did a study that found out that the Rooney Rule actually had no impact on hiring. And I'll kind of talk about that as well, because just because you give everybody the opportunity doesn't mean they'll get the job. So the Rooney Rule just says you have to interview one minority candidate. So a lot of times those coaches get these interviews the minority coaches get these interviews just to fit a quota, which is kind of standardized and modern society when you're going out for any job, right? So you go out there and they say, all right, we need one minority candidate. We already know who we're going to hire. Usually white guy they're going to hire or somewhere along those lines. And they get minorities out here just to waste their time. So perfect example of this, just in case you think I'm making things up. So the coach for, of course, it was the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores. He was hired as so he was working in Miami as a defensive coordinator, I believe, and he went out for the job with the Jets. No, actually, it's the Giants. Sorry. And when he went out for the job, he was called. He was sent a text by Brian Belichick. Brian Belichick sent a message saying, "Congratulations on the new job. I'm proud of you, Brian." So he's like, "Wait a minute. How is he congratulating me for the job when I haven't even went out for the job yet?" So the kicker is Belichick sent the text message to the wrong person. He meant to send it to Brian Daboll and not Brian Flores. So Brian Flores had a lawsuit against the Dolphins, and eventually that lawsuit went away, and he was hired with the Steelers, and then now he's with the Vikings. But that just shows you they'll sweep stuff off the rug. And like I said, he didn't want to get blackballed in the league, so he couldn't go through with the lawsuit, and he just had to take employment where he can get it. And like I said, hopefully he gets that head coaching job one day. But it just shows you the disparity in the league. Like I said, the NFL is considered the good old boys club for a good reason. Most of these owners, like I said, there never has been a black owner. We just started getting black quarterbacks maybe 20 years ago because they said black quarterbacks wasn't intelligent enough to do the play calls and do to audibles and do all the stuff that a quarterback has to do. But we show, today the black quarterbacks are taking over the league, whether you have a Patrick Mahomes or you have a Lamar Jackson, you had Russell Wilson, you had all these other quarterbacks that were able to do amazing things. And to, like I said, it just shows you the flawedness of the system, the good old boys club. If you're not like them, you're ostracized, you're marginalized, you're seen in a different light, and you have to go above and beyond to do what their counterparts aren't doing. So, I just found this, hopefully this is just a rumor and it's not why they didn't pick Mike Tomlin for the job, because I know now they could have used him. The Dolphins have a good coach right now, but like I said, they would have had a lot more stability, I feel, if they had Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is a leader. He's very vocal. He's accountable. So, the Dolphins they haven't won a championship since 1972. So, and for him to get his first job with such a storied franchise with 6 championships, and for him to be able to still stay afloat after all the coaches that have been fired over that 20-year period since he's been almost 20-year period since he's been coaching with the Steelers, shows and attest to him. And salute to Mike Tomlin for being able to bypass all the discrimination and the NFL. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Urban Scope podcast. Remember to like and subscribe to the content, and I appreciate your support.